Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Still Sunday, September 14th here. I was kind of thinking about this, and was reading through the comments, and somebody said this. This isn't like I'm not banning this person. It's just, I want to respond to this comment. I salute your pushback against the cult worship of this guy, but is it possible he was killed because he started to learn that he was a shill for the controlling system and may have wanted to jump ship? That doesn't entirely excuse it, though. Well, he didn't. You could just tell this guy wasn't that kind of guy. But I used to be that kind of guy. I can only do things that I believe in, and that's still kind of the case. I really have trouble doing things I don't believe in. But I can say 100% if my life was under threat. I mean, anybody who knows anything about the system would understand this. If your life is under threat, if my life's under threat, I would not talk about something, right? If something I was talking about was threatening to the system and it would mean that my life was, possibly in jeopardy, I wouldn't talk about it unless it was the spiritual stuff. I'm always going to talk about the spiritual stuff. That God's within you and all the things that go with it. Because, that's my job for God. I mean, that's what I believe God wants me to do. It's what my soul wants me to do, and it's something I have to do. But everything else is meaningless. I've said this before. If any of these celebrities, I used to mock the shit out of celebrities. Like if Alec Baldwin and his fucked up wife from Boston, Spain, asked me not to make fun of them anymore, it would be weird for me if they watched my show. I would say, yeah, sure, I won't. I don't care. Like I can talk about anything. Like I can mock somebody else. And so there's no political solution. So my not talking about something is not going to have any sort of effect on the system. And, I've said before, there's people doing evil shit on our behalf. The CIA and the people who control the system, they have to do evil shit for this system. It's not on our behalf because they're not doing it for us. But we benefit from it because they want the system to keep on going. And the system should come down because it's a demonic system. But we'd all be materially fucked. It would be hard for us to live a life without the system that we now have in place. And when the system does collapse, it's going to be a tough time materially. It'll be great spiritually. For those people who can tough through the material part, you can evolve great lengths spiritually. And it needs to happen. It's a fucked up system, right? We're the evil empire. America is in the whole system. We're a part of the evil empire. So, when you start calling this person evil or that person evil, or, we're all in this together, right? We're in an evil system that's hurting other people. We're eating other people's food, exploiting other people in various ways. I mean, the system is, and we're participating in it. And we're hurting the environment, we're hurting animals, and we're hurting future versions of ourselves. We're going to leave a fucking shitbox for a planet for the next generation. And there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, you can reduce your own personal footprint, and you can, in terms of your own thoughts, in terms of the hatred inside of you, in terms of any things inside of you, you can minimize those things, right? You can negate those things and produce love and good things from inside of you. And those good things will go out into the universe and go out into the world and help, on a spiritual level. But in terms of fixing the political system, being a whistleblower, I don't recommend it. Being somebody who, you don't get into some power struggle with a dying system where desperate people are trying to keep the thing afloat. And if you get in their way, you're just a casualty, right? Because, they're completely locked into keeping this demonic system going. And it's going to collapse of its own will. It's going to collapse of its own depravity, right? Its own, dysfunctional, evil nature. I mean, it can't last because it's not of God. It's an abomination. It's a perversion of the divine energy and the divine creation, and it can't last. And so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to bring it down. You have to protest. You don't have to point out this, that, and the other thing, right? I mean, I do it here in a light way because people want to see it, and I can get my other messages, the more important one about spirituality, embedded in the context of the framework of the narratives, but it doesn't matter, right? So if Charlie Kirk realized he was working for evil people, whatever it is, he couldn't do shit about it. He's already taken their money. I mean, again, he didn't do that. That didn't happen. But if any of these people, they turn on the system, they're fucked because they've already sold their soul to the system, right? It's different when, ordinary people turn on the system or talk shit about it because, the ordinary people haven't participated in the, they haven't reaped the spoils like these people who get into the club to some extent, right? But either way, I don't begrudge these people anything because them telling you the truth isn't going to do anything. You can't fix the system. I explained this in my video about how there is no political solution. You can only break the system. You can only take it down. The system can't be, it can't be fixed because it runs the way it's supposed to. And it's only going to run for some short period of time because it's a demonic system, and then it collapses because it's not aligned with the divine forces, the divine will, the divine laws, the spiritual laws. And so, really we're just waiting for that to happen. We're just hanging out and just, doing whatever we do, enjoying what we can enjoy, suffering what we're going to suffer in the system until it collapses. And then people have to figure that shit out, right? And most people just curl up in the fetal position and wait for the angels to come take them away. But it won't be angels for the majority of people. But anyways, there's no reason that you have to get into a dick measuring contest with the powers that be. You don't need to have a mano-a-mano battle with the beast, like these people that marched up on Capitol Hill, because, we're all a part of it. It isn't people think there's evil people on top and good people on the bottom, but we're all doing shit we shouldn't do, that goes against our soul's path. Almost everybody is not living the life that they should live because we've been compromised by a system that takes people in the wrong direction. And we could all, become saints. We could all live the life we should live despite the system. But we want to do the things we want to do. With our egos want to do the things our egos want to do. And so, yeah, some people are worse than others, but we're all trending in the wrong direction. And so, it's silly to, I call people pieces of shit because they are. And I'm talking about their egos. But, in reality, we're all pieces of shit because, we're not living the best life we could live in terms of our spiritual, following our soul's path and doing what God wants us to do. Anyway, so I'm losing my voice here a little bit. But I'll continue on tomorrow. Okay. I have a great comment that I saw last night. Not a great comment, but a great comment for me to respond to that I'm eager to talk about. But I want to get to the first couple of stories here. So let's see. Let's just get into it.
Department of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the Pentagon is tracking any comments from military or civilian employees who celebrate or mock the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, Hegseth taking to social media saying, quote, "We are tracking all these very closely and will address immediately. Completely unacceptable." News Nation Washington.
Okay, so will you be tracking them if some AOC was murdered or somebody like this assassinated? And there was people in the Pentagon saying shit about her. So this can't be, right? For one, Charlie Kirk was supposed to be about freedom of speech and debate. It's the liberals who have pushed the idea of words matter. And they were the ones who were pushing for censorship. Joe Biden, really. Joe Biden was not a liberal. But they went to all the social media outlets and were trying to clean up, impose all kinds of restrictions on your ability to express yourself. And so, you can't just do it for one side. That's the big part of what's happened here in the last so many years. The last 15 years, I don't know, since Trump, the Trump era. So since 2015, 10 years. That you can say which groups of people don't get to voice their opinions and their point of view. Because there's lots of right-wing people who are out there celebrating, for example, anti-vax people, like myself, who celebrated people who talk shit about the vax and talk shit about anti-vaxxers, and then they got turbo cancer. There's like whole websites devoted to it, and I read from those websites. There's the what was the name of that thing? I can't remember now. Died suddenly, right? That was the whole thing. So, people are mean on the internet, and not necessarily mean. People want to be validated and point out their validation, and don't feel anything for the other side. Don't feel any humanity. That's where we are right now. And so, this guy was not anybody. He wasn't an elected official. He wasn't, celebrated by everybody. He had a small group of people. He is he's a grifter, like Trump. But he said he was into freedom of speech and debate. And when you close down one side's ability to express itself, they act out, right? So words are a way to dissipate your negative feelings. Not that I'm saying it's good what's happening on the internet, but hatred is there. And, when you squash down on when you silence one side, that side uses other ways to get their point of view out. So, anyways, this is a bullshit thing. Like, we all know this. This isn't just happening here.
Washington correspondent Libby Dean live in Washington, D.C. for us. Libby, what are you learning this hour? Are things changing, staying the same with this?
Well, Laura,
why would they be changing?
You've seen this play out over social media just like I have. Nearly every day since Charlie Kirk was murdered, we've seen at least one person fired. And it's not just here in Washington, it's really all across America. And of course, they're being fired for comments making light of Charlie Kirk's death. Companies like Delta, Office Depot, MSNBC, the Carolina Panthers, the Joe Burrow Foundation, and others firing employees for various posts and actions making comments about Charlie Kirk's passing. Now, back here in Washington, though.
So, holy shit, right? Charlie Kirk was not anything. He wasn't, he wasn't, and it doesn't matter who he was or who he wasn't, but he's not a member of the government. He was a private citizen who was scamming, fucking, grifting on Jesus' teachings, his pretending to be a spiritual person who's very political. And when people say things about him, which, he was mocking people all the time on his, just in the titles of his videos, about how he's owning this liberal and that liberal. He would go into college areas and debate people where he had more confidence, more life experience, more, he had security at a platform and, this whole thing. He's sitting there, holding court in his little tent area. And he's the center of attention, the person with an audience behind him and a security team in front of him. And he would be able to debate these, dumbasses, and who would show up for a debate with him. And he would win most of the debates because, and the ones he didn't, he wouldn't post. And the ones he did, he put it in the title about how he destroyed this liberal kid or that liberal kid, these college-age kids. And so it wasn't fucking, this guy's no saint. And in doing that, he was hawking his, his financial plans for patriots and his gold, Alex Jones shit. And he was, he made a nice life for himself, right? And it was important for him that the liberals kept on showing up, right? Because people wanted to see him own college-age liberals. And in that process, he was, in many ways, what I would call a traitor. All these people are traitors. When he would be receiving money and support from Israel, because, that's part of what he was doing. Because there was this so-called anti-Semitism, which was pro-Palestinian people on the campuses. And he started to go to these campuses. He became popular during that period of time, right? So he started to debate the pro-Palestinian people and speak up for Israel, where he was the authority. And so he needed these people to show up so he could own them and push this agenda forward and dismantle these, young college kids who weren't articulate enough and understanding enough. Like, I agree with him on abortion. I don't, I don't know what his position was, but there was some girl there that was debating him on abortion. And I think he said something, when does a heartbeat start, which is a legitimate argument. And again, I'm not talking about the validity of his arguments and things I agree with them and things that I don't. But the girl responded by saying, have you ever eaten an egg? She was equating eating an egg, which could be unfertilized, and most of them are, because she's a dumbass that doesn't understand, with abortion, that you're killing something in its fetal situation. Like, what people don't know is most people think that the yolk becomes the egg. And when you have a fertilized egg, when we have roosters here and you'll have fertilized egg, if you don't eat the egg right away and the egg is sat on by a chicken for a little bit and it gets activated, because it doesn't really. It needs temperature, it needs moisture, it needs the right conditions to grow into a chicken. So if chicken lays an egg and it's been fertilized by a rooster, you won't usually see something. But if you see something, like let's say one of our chickens goes broody, and you take the egg out, there's a little dot on the yolk. And that dot feeds on the yolk, right? Feeds on the yolk for 21 days, and then becomes the yolk is their food source. And so there's nothing in the egg that represents a chicken other than whether there's been a rooster that's fertilized. And, people kill chickens and eat them. They kill adult chickens, so it's not just eggs. And so she's saying stupid shit, right? Like, that was her debating strategy, to compare an embryo to an egg. Like, it's just stupid. It's a completely different thing, right? You can make a debate whether people should be eating chickens or eating their eggs. Whether predation is something different. But, it would be like if people weren't an apex predator, or if some woman who was, pregnant with an embryo, it was somehow worse that a bear ate her with the embryo, it's like silly arguments, right? Like, just silly. And you can't, and these kids couldn't win, right? But he was receiving money from Israel, and, they were squashing free speech, Trump was, on these college campuses. So, he was never for free speech. It was rigged. His debates were rigged. And his, Trump's whole thing is rigged. So fuck these guys, right? They're frauds. I mean, fuck them even more, because fuck them yesterday for being piece of shit, for whatever I was talking about then, and then fuck them today for saying they believe in free speech, but only for their side, right? Because the internet should just be everybody saying, doing and saying and being themselves and being honest. And if that leads to our destruction, which our destruction is already happening anyway, then so be it, right? But like making people not be who they are, not say what they're saying, right? They did this with all the stuff all the liberal censorship. People are what they are, and so we live in a time where, like, the first step is just be honest, even if you're a piece of shit and what you're saying is completely wrong. At least say what you are. Stop hiding. Stop being some fake social media person like his wife. Stop pretending. Stop posing. Stop, all that kind of shit. Like, we can see through it. Like, just be who you are. Like, that's tell the truth of what you believe. Whatever it is. And so, like, that, even though that's not going to lead to anything good at the moment, it's a step in the right direction towards honesty. But if you stop people from doing that, you make them suppress who they are, it just makes it worse, because, there can't be any sort of a feedback loop and all these things. So that's the first thing here.
As you mentioned, Laura, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, he is issuing this stark warning for his employees, saying they are actively...
It's not his employees, right? He's in charge of something.
monitoring any military or civilian personnel who post online comments that celebrate or make light of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, we did reach out to the Pentagon when we were asking for any updated numbers on who had been fired there, and they referred us directly to this post.
All right, so it is unacceptable for military personnel and Department of War civilians to celebrate for mock assassination of a fellow American. The Department of War has zero tolerance for it. So, will there be a liberal mocked? Because I want to see this applied for that. And the fucking word mocked, the internet, what the fuck, right? It's fucked up. So then this happened.
I'm your host, Mike Page. Thanks again for joining us. Well, there is more fallout right now from social media posts that were put after Charlie Kirk's death. We've been seeing it really across not only the public jobs, but also some private sector jobs as well, but also in our military. I want to bring you this information that a Marine was fired for his social media post after Charlie Kirk's death. The result of the Pentagon's campaign to reprimand troops for inappropriate posts about Charlie Kirk's killing has been swift. Captain Austin Gallegos, a spokesperson for the Western Recruiting Region, confirmed a Marine officer whose post became part of the campaign on social media has been relieved of his
Did the guy really have to go over the side of the building?
duties as a recruiter and is now being investigated.
Wait, why did the guy have why was the guy wearing a hoodie in this thing? You see him, he's got a hoodie.
And is now being investigated. Another military official who spoke on conditions to candidly discuss ongoing investigations confirmed that their service branch had also initiated several investigations of service members and their social media.
So fuck these guys, these non-free speech motherfuckers. And this whole fraudulent thing. You're full of shit, right? And so, Trump is horrible, the martial law president, right? There's absolutely zero reason for martial law, zero reason for troops on the streets. We're not in some kind of crisis. Trump didn't campaign on this. He didn't say this is what he wanted to do. And, these cities have crime in them, and the solution is not putting troops on the streets. We've been through this back and forth. So he's doing something, he's, taking advantage of crisis level rules and laws to implement something that nobody really wants and nobody should want. And Charlie Kirk and these other pieces of shit were all pushing for it. And, we're going down one way or another, so I don't make a big deal about such things. I knew there was going to be martial law eventually. And there are people who wrote saying, about, I guess, responding to me saying that Trump was a big winner and this thing was all about preserving Trump's reputation to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And people are saying, well, he's just a puppet. Yeah, but he's the only puppet that could do martial law. Do you guys understand that? What other person could just put troops in Chicago? What other person is known as an arrogant piece of shit that just does whatever the fuck he wants? Like little Lloyd Fuckleroy, right? That, little Lord Fauntleroy. I lost my train of thought. So he does things that other people don't do, and he gets away with it. Trump as president, Trump as not president, Trump as president again. He's gone away with a bunch of stuff. And he's saying how much he's targeted, but Trump is the only person that could do this. The Democrats and liberals could never bring in martial law. I always reference that Clone Army Star Wars movie where the Jedi find out there's a clone army and they utilize it thinking that it's there for, the Jedi's built the army. And then the army is under the command of the Chancellor, whatever his title was, who's really the Sith Lord. And then that's the army that becomes the evil Empire Army, the clone army. Where those white plastic fucking non-body armor, non-laser proof. They wear these heavy ass outfits these plastic outfits, and then the lasers kill them anyway. Right? And so do the Jedi's swords, lightsabers. And so they're just, like you have to be in this hot plastic suit on these fucking hot desert planets, and then they don't do anything. But anyways, what you've done is now you've got rid of Posse Comitatus with Trump, and Trump can push all these things through. J.D. Vance can't push them through. Nor could Gavin Newsom. And so Trump is integral to their plan. And the Jeffrey Epstein thing completely derail it, right? So, this is this one thing. This Marine was fired. Okay, so there's a vigil, right? And I'm going to get to that in a moment. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll start covering some other things, hopefully. I am waiting for if they're going to release any more info about this guy. So today's the day you'll see what they're going to do. Maybe not today because, they want to keep this story going. Well, you turn on the news and they're talking about Jeffrey Epstein as whenever you turn on the news at the beginning hour and the half hour, so at 9 o'clock or 9:30, you turn on the news, there'll be a story. And whatever that story is the big story, right? The beginning of the hour. And it changes maybe throughout the day. And so for so many days, Charlie Kirk's story was leading the news across the board. But then not so much, right? Because, what we saw here is, there's nothing more to report. Like, so they're not going to just talk about Charlie Kirk. They want to know about this guy, this kid. And if they don't, talk about the kid, then, the story dies. They got the kid, and then now what's his motivation? Like, if there's no manifesto, that sucks for them. Nobody reads the manifesto anyway, but it's a way to say this guy was crazy. Okay, so at the point I just stopped there. For you it's continuous, obviously. But I looked up, and it was 9 o'clock, so I said, all right, I'll go check out the 9 o'clock morning news, specifically CNN and MSNBC, because they're the ones that should be covering anti-Trump shit, right? They're the Trump-hating networks. And they were talking about the searching for information to his motive. Both MSNBC, I went back and forth between NBC and CNN. And so their number one story was, what's his motive? And so I got a report from ABC. I'll show you that next. Also, they showed Trump saying stuff about it's a left problem. And they said the guy's going to appear in court on Tuesday. And I'll show you all that stuff in a bit. As soon as I'm done with this part, I'll go into that stuff. And some of those videos will start coming up. They don't know much more about him. They are now talking about him having a transgender roommate. But I'll show you all that stuff. Like MSNBC was saying that. So, sometimes they say things. Remember, all their various stories. And things come out like they're fact or they're part of the story, and then they just disappear, right? Like they just they're facts that they decide to, all right, let's pretend we didn't report that. Or they're things that are just completely false. They, what was it, September 10th he was shot, or 9th or something. So we're 6 days into this, but it's more important that it's Monday. And this story is held up over the weekend, like they said it would. And we'll see what other details are going to come out. But I want to contrast something here. So let me find the comment. I hope this is it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Well, one person said this. My boyfriend, let me make it bigger. My boyfriend died suddenly in front of me when I was 19 and literally slept and cried in bed for 3 weeks. I was completely inconsolable. When I finally got out of bed, I discovered I had lost 25 pounds. Obviously, years of mourning continued, all for the strong women, but something doesn't add up here. She was also a Bravo reality show. She was also on a Bravo reality show. Yeah, of course she was. She's like totally a Desperate Housewife Kardashian person. If she was there, because I've heard that his kids ran up to him, and I think she was there at these events. She was there in Utah. So if she was there and she saw this happen, I mean, think about like J.D. Jackie Onassis, she was a wreck after that thing. You'd be a wreck after that thing. Watching, it's a shock to your system. Like it's, and also because it's so abnormal. Like if you lived in a war-torn place and you had seen family members blown up and, there's bombs going off all the time, that's your new reality. You get used to it. But when you're on a college campus and you're used to this is their normal. This is like going into work every day, whatever, how many times they travel to these places. And he would debate these people, and there's a crowd. It's goes a certain way. Anything abnormal sticks out, like anything that was not a routine. Like you have your daily routine, things that are normal. And something of this nature, him getting killed, this is a shocking event. So her reaction is fucked, right? And she was at the event. I checked, and she was, which so that whole thing is fucked, right? Somebody wrote this. I salute your pushback against the cult worshipship of this guy, but it's possible that I read that already. I read that in my opening statement. Or this person writes, "You're a huge loser. Listen to your foul mouth. Charlie was real, and his faith is real. The Holy Spirit speaks loudly, buddy. Speaks loudly. You obviously are jealous of a very jealous man." Right? You obviously are jealous of a very jealous man. I'm jealous of a jealous man. Charlie will live on. And somebody underneath wrote, "Jealous of a jealous man, LOL." The thing is, I had heard Charlie Kirk's name once or twice, didn't know what he looked like, wasn't sure. I knew he was a right-wing kind of person. Just the little bit, I didn't know about the college stuff. I didn't know, I knew he was, I think I heard Candace Owens said the guy was finally admitting that Israel might be involved in Epstein. I remember her saying that, and I don't listen to her. Like it was this brief period of time where she turned on Trump with the Epstein thing, and she turned on Israel. And so there was like 4 episodes of Candace Owens' show, and I listened to part of them. And she mentioned Charlie Kirk. And I don't know where else I heard his name. So he wasn't anything to me. I couldn't be jealous of him because I didn't know what he was. And of course I'm not, because I wouldn't want to be him. And I'm not a jealous person, right? So that's, it's just a silly argument. But when I did find out about him, he was shot in the throat or the chest and he was dead. And so you think I'm jealous of him now? Do you think I would want to switch places with him now? You think I'm jealous? What was I be jealous of, right? I could go to college campuses and debate fucking college kids and, dumb fuck college kids. I'm smarter and more well-versed than these college kids. I'm not as polished, in terms of crowd things, and I have no desire to do that. Like, I couldn't do it because I don't want to do it. Like I said, and, I look down on it. But, backing Trump, I could do that. I could send these dopey college kids to back Trump. I could back martial law. I could sell out to Israel, ask Israel for money to promote their bullshit. Like, I could do all the shit he was doing, right? So, and that wife of his is a fucking nightmare. I couldn't talk to her for more than seconds, right? She's just obnoxiously fake and, all these things. So, it's just a silly argument to say I'm jealous. Like, you can come up with something better. I tell you why I feel the way I feel. I think most people who listen to me on a regular basis would understand why I would say stuff about Charlie Kirk. Because he's a poser, and he's using God for political purposes, and, he's doing this thing with these kids. So here's the comment I wanted to get to. And so I talked about why I have a problem with him from a standpoint of, and saying I have a problem with him isn't correct, but why I would call him a piece of shit. And so I explain these things to people who want to listen to my videos, right? And this person says, the problems I have with what you say are, 1, you curse. A couple of people are mad at me for cursing. So this guy, unsolicited, right? Because people want my opinion on things. I'm getting more views on this Charlie Kirk thing twice as many views, 4 times as many views on the first video, and more than twice the number of views on the last videos, right? So people are coming to my channel to find out what I think about Charlie Kirk because of my coverage of the fake Trump assassination attempt. And you guys, whatever reason you guys come here. But there are more people coming here now, twice as many, to listen to me talk about something. I didn't even know the guy 10 minutes ago, and they want my opinion on it. And they're coming back, and most of the comments are people who agree with me and are agreeing with what I say and are thinking I'm insightful, right? And so I'm talking to my audience who wants my opinion about things, wants my insight. I'm not talking to Charlie Kirk or his family. Like, I didn't go to Charlie Kirk or Alec Baldwin or Joe Biden and say, hey, here's my problem with you, right? Like, I wouldn't go up to them in person. If I met them, I'd be like, hey, how are you doing? Like, it would be, I'm not going to, that doesn't work. I worked as a counselor. I have a master's degree in counseling. And as a preceptor, I've been in the change business, about talking about how people need to change. But the most important part is that I'm working to change myself, working to be a better person through my spiritual practice. And, not being a better person, that's like silly. Being a more embracing my spiritual side by connecting to the divinity within me through the spiritual practice. Because it's a battle. It's a fucking battle because your ego wants to do what it wants to do. And anybody who's on a spiritual path will tell you that, right? And so in that, my personal change, I have, gained levels of understanding and consciousness through deepening my relationship with God. And, I share information about that might be helpful to other people when they make those choices themselves, right? But I'm not here to tell people they're a piece of shit. Like, I wouldn't go up to Charlie and say, here's my problem with you. Like, because that wouldn't work. Why would you do that? Like, it doesn't work. And so the behavior that this guy is doing with me in the comment, mostly I wouldn't read the comment, but because, it's so great. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I was savoring reading it when I read the first line. The problems I have with you are, number one, you curse. Like, this guy thinks that I value his opinion, some random fuck who shows up on my channel who doesn't get what I do and is a Charlie Kirk fan. Number two, you speak out of a know-it-all arrogance, pride, zero humility. Okay, so the arrogance, it appears that I have arrogance, and you can't do this kind of thing without some arrogance, right? So, but this person doesn't see what it is, because I certainly have humility, because I know I have to change. Like, I know that there's a battle between my ego and my soul. I mean, the ego has to submit to the soul. It's a constant process until it isn't, until you've reached a point where it becomes just automatic, right? But I'm working on changing, and I'm aware of my imperfections, right? And I talk about being a piece of shit and an asshole, these things, not because I'm trying to be self-deprecating, because I'm aware of that stuff. Like, I'm, not saying that I'm perfect. So the humility is there. He just doesn't know about it. But the other piece, which he says is pride, I don't have pride. I don't believe in pride. Pride is a negative thing. Like, some people say, take pride in your work. That's something. But not, there's a better word than pride, that, you should value your work and do good work. But, pride isn't the correct word. So none of these things are really true, right? The arrogance part, but not in the way that the person says. Charlie was arrogant. Like, Charlie was far more arrogant than I am because of the way that he, he was narcissistic and obnoxious, and the way condescending, the way he talked to these kids. The evil left pulled off false flags with extreme lies, threats, and killing people to cover up. Okay, so the people who pulled off the biggest false flag were George W. Bush and really Dick Cheney and the neocons. The neocons pulled off the big false flag in September 11th, and then all the false flags that Trump is backing that Israel has done. I mean, the right has always been the military branch of the binary system, and they're more prone to the false flag events. The people in the CIA and what you would call the deep state, this moron would call the deep state, are not liberal at all. So there are two kinds of people that they focus on. There's people who want change, people who want freedom. And, this was the hippie movement. The hippies wanted freedom. They wanted freedom of speech. They wanted freedom of expression. They wanted to get away from their Christian indoctrination, these things, right? And so they pushed for, which was liberal values, things where you'd be more free to do things, right? Freedom to, same-sex marriages, freedom for abortions, freedom for all these things. And then you have the conservatives who don't want change. They think America is great the way it is. And so, again, make America great again. So they want to go back to the past. They want to stop progress. And so you have the progressives and the regressives. And in our society, that's the liberals and the conservatives, the Republicans and the Democrats. And the people who control the system know that there's these different types of people. When you're in college, you're a progressive. You want change, right? As you get older, you want things to go back the way they were when you were younger, and you don't like the changes that are happening. And so there's this two elements in a society like ours. And so they pit these two elements against each other, and they don't believe in either side, right? And you're too stupid to fucking know this, like this person. That's why I talk about these things. And Charlie Kirk is embracing the regressives, although they're pushing progressive type of, like martial law is a new thing. It's regressive, but also it's progressive because it's not something that we've had, right? It's progress in a negative way. Going back to the past, going back to the way it is in China and these other places. But the biggest false flag is, the big event in 2001, which happened under the neoconservatives, the Trumpers. And so, it's silly. So number 3, the evil left pulled off false flags, extreme lies, threats, and killing people to cover up. There is hard evidence to reveal the lies of the left with these events. You call conspiracy total speculations. You are speculating on responses and reactions. This is all number 3. Speculation reactions in which everyone is incredibly different. There's not one shred of evidence to prove that these are false flags. There is not one shred of evidence to prove these are false flags. You are being duped because you never acknowledge the Holy Spirit leading you all into truth. So that's their number 3. It's packed with, when you're doing bullet points, they can't have multiple, let me read that again. They can't have multiple different points of view. So the person says this. The evil left, again, this thing where the left is evil and the right is evil, if you're believing that kind of shit, you don't belong here, because that's for dumb fucks. I don't, that's dumb fuckistan. You're not in dumb fuckistan right now. Like you somehow you got lost. And of course you would, because you're bumping into shit, you don't know where you are, and you wander out of dumb fuckistan, and you come to my channel, and again, not like my channel is brilliant, it's just that you're coming from such a remedial binary way of thinking that you think the left is evil, because that's as far as you can go. Like, you can't see you're being played, that the left and the right are controlled by the same people. Like, so you're just a right-wing Trump dumb fuck who, needs to go back to dumb fuckistan. And so the evil left pulled off false flags with extreme lies, threats, and killing people to cover up. There is hard evidence to reveal the lies of the left. You mean you think that there's no hard evidence to reveal the lies of the right? Trump lies all the fucking time. Trump is an Epstein person. He's Jeffrey Epstein's best buddy. Like, the evidence is fucking overwhelming because he said he was. And there's all these people that were around him. You say he was a terrific guy. And he liked young girls. And so, what hard evidence is on the left that's so much better than the hard evidence on the right? And so there's no hard evidence to reveal the lies of the left. With these events you call conspiracy, totally speculations. You are speculating on responses and reactions in which everyone is incredibly different. There is not one shred of evidence to prove these are false flags, meaning the right wing or this thing with Charlie Kirk. There's a ton of evidence to prove they're false flags. The packages are the same, the information they're rolling out, and the manipulation that they're doing. You don't think this is being politicized and manipulated? Come on, go back to dumb fuckistan. Like, it's, You wandered into a level of consciousness you're not capable of. There is not one shred of evidence to prove these are false flags. You are being duped because you've never acknowledged the Holy Spirit leading you into all truth. So I'm going to say something different here. This is, and I may have said this before, but not like this. Certainly not as clear. So to people who are Christians, and again, I'm not, Jesus is Jesus. If you're set on your religion, you're set on following Jesus, just connect with him directly at least. And I'm not telling you what to do or giving advice, but, deepen your connection with Jesus, like the real Jesus. Not through the bullshit Bible, not through, the manipulated Bible and the manipulated religion, but connect directly to Jesus. Pray directly to God and Jesus to show you the way. And ask Jesus if what I'm saying is true. If that's something that you're, ask Jesus. I've said this for years. Ask Jesus if this is what I'm saying is true. The problem with the Christian religion, I talked about this a little bit, is that it focuses on Jesus being tacked up to a cross and being killed. And also being betrayed by one of his disciples, denied by another one, and doubted by a third. And so the focus of the story was Jesus' death, and that somehow that death made his suffering that he endured, made it so you could go to heaven. And it's just a stupid fucking idea. Like, if you didn't grow up with it, if you weren't indoctrinated with it, you would never believe it, because it's fucking stupid. Because, what Christians believe is that all the people who came before Jesus, they didn't have an access to heaven. Heaven did not exist for any human being because they couldn't accept Jesus. For, people have been around for, I don't know what the Christians believe in terms of, some believe that they're only 6,000 years old or whatever. But from the time of, what they would believe Adam and Eve till the time Jesus came, which was at least 5,000 years or 3,000 years. There's 3,000 years of Judaism. There's people before this, but some Christians don't believe in dinosaurs and that shit, right? Because, but there's at least 3,000 years of history of Judaism. And so all those people who came and lived and died across the world all went to hell because Jesus didn't come yet to save humanity. So it's a bullshit thing, really stupid. And Jesus, no one can die for your sins. There's accountability. There has to be accountability. And so, getting a get out of hell free card because you accepted Jesus is not the way spirituality works at all. In every capacity in your life, that you have to be held accountable. And so, if you guys all believe, all you Christians believe that all you have to do is accept Christ, then why are you so fucking big on going after the controllers and the pedos and this guy, Charlie Kirk's killer, Tyler Robinson, or at least his alleged killer? Why are you so violent about going after the liberals? Why do you want them to suffer when they're going to suffer hell, right? So all these people that aren't accepting Jesus, if you really believe they're going to hell, then let them have their fucking fun, you selfish pricks, right? You miserly fucks. You want them to suffer here and then also suffer eternal hell, right? Like, so you don't really believe in your own bullshit, right? Like, that's the problem with Christians and Christianity, because it doesn't focus on Jesus' accomplishments, because Jesus was born at a certain level and he didn't accomplish shit according to Christianity. Now there's these beings that are called avatars in the Sajmark tradition, and they're born at a certain level and they don't evolve. They come from a higher level of existence and they come down and they do work and then they leave. But everybody else has to evolve spiritually, and Jesus is one of these people. Jesus was a normal human being. He was, the Son of God in the sense that we're all children of God. And he went to India and he learned some spirituality. And he brought it back to a bunch of dumb fucks who embraced it at first and then turned on him and killed him because people suck. And then killed him in a very brutal way. And at the end, he was just praying for death because people suck so bad. Which is very common for spiritual people to just want out, because they just get disgusted by humanity's inability to rise up to a higher level. But Jesus did accomplish things. And those things he accomplished, you could accomplish as well. Because your fucked up religion is focusing on his death, and they're giving you this bullshit deal that you just have to accept him as your Lord and Savior, then you get into heaven, then you have no reason to change. You have no reason to evolve. And so that's the difference, because what I do, the accomplishments of the spiritual teachers in the Sajmark system, the spiritual masters, is not only celebrated, but also is there as an example of what everyone who does the system needs to do themselves, which is really important because, this person said that I had a lack of humility, but understanding where you are now. Like one of the great teachings of the Sajmark system is this. Babaji said, I want my beginning to be mine and my ending to be like his. And his has multiple meanings. Well, first of all, everybody's beginning on your spiritual path is yours. So you're a piece of shit that, wants to change and be a better person, evolve, and rise to a higher level. And you are wherever you are. Some people are worse off, some people are better, but that's your beginning. Everyone's beginning is their own. But the ending is the same when you evolve spiritually. And so his can be the previous spiritual masters who went to a higher level of consciousness. His can also be God's. But you have the best possible version of yourself, the one that embraces your divinity within you, and you work tirelessly to serve God, not in some bullshit, superficial, artificial way like Charlie Kirk and his wife and these other people who claim to serve God, in a very public way, but serving God in a way that nobody notices. Real godly people serve God and do things that nobody fucking even knows about. Real saints don't do it on Instagram. Real saints don't do it in a very public way, in some big mega churches. Real spiritual people work for God, and if people notice them, they notice them, if you're lucky to be around them, but they don't want the people to see them because what happens to fucking people like that, right? Especially in the West, in the world of white people and Christianity, they get killed, right? Jesus, is a prime example. But it's fucked up. The cross is a fucked up symbol. And it's because it's been warped to make you feel guilty, to make you feel like, oh, you're a piece of shit, and Jesus died for your sins. And, here's the cross, let me stick it in your fucking face, you piece of shit sinner. Like, that's what they want you to feel like. You'll never be anything, and that's the wrong thing to do. That you also can reach the same levels as Jesus and even go beyond him. And because he was, on the first step of spirituality. And that's why so many dumb fucks gravitate to his teachings, because it's very... it's spirituality 101, the good teachings of Jesus. They're just an entry level into the spiritual world, right? Because Jesus was half spiritual and half social reformer. He wasn't even 100% spiritual. And I'm not criticizing him. He certainly did better than the majority of people. I mean, and, paid for it because these motherfuckers kill saints in their begotten land. You want to worship Israel. Israel is a place where saints go to die, right? Just like Europe is and America is, right? It's hard to be a spiritual person in these places because they're so materialistic and they're so focused on negativity and darkness. The darkness of a wrathful God that's really a demon in the Old Testament, the darkness of financial power, money power, war power, political power, and human materialistic type of endeavors. And so that's why we're here where we are today. And so you can go back to your fucking dumb fuckistan and just listen to bullshit things about, a bullshit religion and a bullshit political system and a person who pushes the bullshit religion and warps it to make you think that Trump is actually a fucking a warrior of God, and see how that gets you. See what that gets you, right? Like more dumb fuckistan stuff, So, if you wander over here and you hear something different, you can either try to rise up to it and understand it, or leave bullshit comments like this, right? bullet comments about unsolicited complaints that I'm not interested in hearing because you come from dumb fuckistan. I hear from dumb fuckistan all the time. I'm fucking in dumb fuckistan every time I turn on the fucking computer, every time I turn on the news, and I see what's going on, right? Like I have to enter into dumb fuckistan. But I don't live there, right? I don't reside there. And I do it as a, courtesy because people want to know what I think of dumb fuckistan. And, this is what I think, right? This is my experience of it. There was one more comment here about me swearing, so I might as well. There's two more comments here. Your channel used to be funny and insightful. Now it feels like another outlet obsessed with Trump. Sad and predictable, like CNN. It's lost its spark. You never really got the channel then because, right now the Republicans are worse. Back when I was making fun of Joe Biden, you guys loved me. You dumb fuckistan right Republicans, because even though I was talking about the left-right paradigm, I wasn't talking about Trump so much because he didn't have power. But now that Trump has power, he's way worse than Biden. The shit that Trump's doing and getting away with, like I said, only he could do. Martial law, blank check for Israel, suppression and censorship of one side, calling the other side evil when you're doing evil shit, and then being best friends with the world's number one, what people think is the number one pedophile in the world, Jeffrey Epstein, and covering up for him. And then all the other things he did. And, protecting Hillary Clinton, which he admitted to. I mean, the list goes on and on. The guy's a piece of shit. He's a grifter. And, only dumb fucks can't see it. So that's not my problem. It's your problem, right? And then here's the last one. This is the one I want to say. You swear a lot more than you used to. Your vocabulary is big enough without the F-bombs. Well, that's silly. My vocabulary is the same. It's not because I lack vocabulary words. I don't know what to put in here, so I'll just say fuck. I think my frustration level and my time on the internet, I've gone up and down with the swearing. And YouTube used to demonetize videos for swearing, so, and I don't know how much more. I think I've been less lately. But, dumb fuckistan. The dumb fucks. It was the name that I it just made sense. Calling people who are Trumpers the dumb fucks because they, obviously that's a good description. But either way, it's not a lack of vocabulary words. All right, so let's get back into it here. So the Kennedy Center, where's that? Is that in D.C.? Again, not a spiritual place, not a spiritual venue. But this is from ABC News. They have some new insights. To follow Jesus.
Hundreds gathered at the Kennedy Center in the nation's capital last night to remember Charlie Kirk.
There's nothing more spiritual. The fake Christian Barbie Truther going makeup free, but you can't remove the plastic surgery. There's nothing more spiritual than holding up your phone and turning on the light.
Speak on behalf of the president when I say President Trump loved you.
Okay, watch her head shake no. She's shaking her head no, right? Because he killed him. Like, if there's a plot here, it's Trump. Trump's benefited. You can't deny Trump's benefited. Like, they were talking about Epstein, and now they're not. Fucking Epstein was killing Trump, and he was trying to shake the thing. And this is the first thing that's worked, at least for a period of time. So watch her shake her head no while she's saying she loved you.
Say, President Trump loved you, Charlie, so much.
Paying tribute.
Shaking her head no. I'm going to revisit that stuff later.
To the husband and father of two for his organizing prowess and its advocacy on free speech.
Charlie lived by the principle that no matter how horrible another person's speech may be, their ideas must be defeated by better ideas.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, your beliefs don't mean shit. Like, people's beliefs are, they have to move you in a certain way. They got to get you to accept a deal that you don't want to accept. But other than that, people's ideas don't mean anything. But listen to this part here.
Not by resorting to violence.
Or censorship, right? And so they're pushing back on all these things, the censorship, and like they're going on the offensive. So I got another Fox News thing where they're going after people, right? They're going after the left. Trump says it here. I got a clip of that coming. They're going after the left. Trump is now even more on the attack. He was running away. He was retreating. He was on the defensive. He was on the ropes, and with this Jeffrey Epstein thing, and even Charlie Kirk was having to say, "Hey, maybe Mossad's involved." So even he was like, who knows he might have had to. They're all kind of, at some point, have to admit that Trump is fucking compromised. I mean, because they're political. They're not real fucking loyal people. They don't like Donald Trump. They don't love Donald Trump. Like, they're all working together to defraud a bunch of dumb fucks, right? They have an audience, and they're using their other elements, Trump style. Like, they know Trump's a piece of shit, right? They know martial law isn't good. They know that he's involved with Jeffrey Epstein. So Trump is on the ropes. It's undeniable. Like, and now he's on the attack, which I'll show you again in a moment. And now they have the martyr. They have their martyr fucking martyr money for Erica, and then the whole martyr thing that they can roll out, right? Going back to what I was saying, the martyrdom, they've used it. Martyr is a bad thing. Being a martyr is a bad thing. It's an insult, right? But they have it.
More details are emerging about Kirk's suspected killer, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. Video obtained by TMZ appears to show him the morning of the shooting, walking to Utah Valley University, dressed in lighter clothes than those police say the shooter wore that day. Utah's governor says Robinson is refusing to cooperate with investigators.
He has not confessed to authorities. He is not cooperating.
You mean, wait, he's not confessing, so he's not cooperating? It's a silly thing to say. You're not cooperating in confessing to a crime that you have legal rights to defend yourself. So did he not do it? Like, you're saying you 100% did it because all the evidence points to this, right? You guys got a slam dunk case, but this motherfucker won't cooperate. He won't tell you what his motive is, right?
But all the people around him are cooperating.
Sources say
all the other people are selling him out, all his family members.
Surrendered after his father recognized him in these surveillance images and urged.
So all as they said that this is the guy in these images, but is it he the killer? Like, no, he's been already convicted. Trump said he should get the death penalty, right?
Come forward. Utah's governor says Robinson's family told investigators that he was deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology.
Deeply indoctrinated. So there it is, right? He's deeply indoctrinated with the leftist ideology. ABC News. They're finally getting around to this. So that's the thing. So is it good to be on the left today? Fucking no. Is it good to be against Charlie Kirk? No. You're getting fired. People being ostracized. People getting fired from their private sector jobs, as well as Pete Hegseth. Is it good to be, well, here's the transgender part.
Authorities say when they recovered the shooter's shell casings, they contained messages. One read, "Hey, fascists, catch." Another referenced an Italian anti-fascist folk song. And another unfired casing contained the message, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
That's funny.
Investigators also confirming they've now interviewed Robinson's roommate, with whom they say he was romantically involved.
His roommate was indeed a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female. That's information that the FBI had mentioned yesterday. We can confirm that as well, and that he is cooperating with authorities as well.
You dead naming this? Is it he, they, them, he, she? This guy seems a little bit gay himself. Just saying. But so he has a gay roommate who, so they're saying he's gay. And so is the gay community, is this good for them? Is it good for the trans community? Right? Are they all going to be hunted now? Are they all going to be implicated by dumb fuck right-wing people who are maybe, then there's another false flag where a bunch of, alleged dumb fuck right-wing people, AKA the CIA, go in and go kill a bunch of trans people, and then the Democrats take over and they swing back the other way, going after right-wing people and their hate speech and the Trumpians. So it's just going to go back and forth. The dumb fucks don't realize it. The Democrats are going to be back in control, and everything that you're doing now to them, they're going to do to you. And the groups that are now being hunted will be protected, and the groups that are being upheld, the groups that are being pushed forward now, being celebrated, will be hunted and be prejudiced against and be silenced and be censored. Now, you don't see the fucking pattern? You dumb fucks, right? This is what's going to happen. Like, it's going to swing back to the fucking left, and all this shit you've been talking, then it's going to be coming under scrutiny. And it's going to be, oh my God, you're a Trumper, you're a MAGA person, especially after Trump fucks up this country, and they blame it on you, you dumb fucks. And you deserve every bit of blame because you pushed this guy forward. You celebrate a guy who was obviously a piece of shit, and you listen to a piece of shit like Charlie Kirk, who told you that this guy was a good guy when he himself is a bad guy, right? just as much as the liberals are.
Officials say Robinson had no military experience, but was proficient with a firearm. Multiple social media posts by his family show him posing with guns.
About 175 yards from the podium to the shooting location.
175 yards. And would you have to be a pretty proficient marksman to be able to make it, given those...
He's not cooperating. Again, why would he cooperate with his own fucking execution? I mean, you know, the whole thing is a bullshit story.
Conditions?
Given the environment, that type of shot is not easy.
President Trump continues to blame only the left for political violence, not referencing the Democrats targeted in recent months. Trump last night saying his administration is now investigating left-leaning groups.
The problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left.
No, the problem is people, right? The problem is people. It's not one side. There's no, you know, again, they divide you into two groups, and you tell you the other group's evil. And you believe it until you fucking smarten up. And if you haven't smartened up yet, then, you know, you're worthless to anybody. That's why I don't care if you're on my channel or not. I'm not here for dumb fucks. Like, I don't care. If you can't get the fact that they've created two groups and they've put you self-identify with one of the two groups, and they're making you war with the evil good group because of course you're in the good group with the good guys. Wherever you are is where the good guys are, and where everything else is the bad guys. That was a clip I was going to show you of Trump. So that's Trump, right? It's only the left is evil. So there's nothing on the left that's good, right? There's nothing on the left that's positive. And everything that Trump does is wonderful. Like, if you really believe that shit, he's fucking putting out martial law, and he was writing fucking love letters to Jeffrey Epstein about young girls, right?
But other Republicans are striking a different tone.
You need to take the word radical and remove right or left, and radical coming from any direction.
Yeah, we just got to get rid of anybody who doesn't agree with the official story. Like, that's what they're going to push for. They're going to push for anybody who disagrees with the official story. You're a fucking radical. And so this is where we are, right?
Is not good.
Boom. So remember that Trump used to be a Democrat. He was clearly for abortion because he paid for some of them. And he had many liberal points of view. He hobnobbed with liberal people, was good friends with the Clintons, who was good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, who was probably more liberal than he was conservative. And Trump gave money to the Clintons and Democrats, right? So...
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left, that's not the right.
Okay, when's the last time you saw American flag burn? You're talking about the 60s? Because I have not seen American flag burned in recent time. And that's, you know, it's a flag's a piece of shit thing. There's one good flag, the pirate flag. All the rest are, you know, some are nicer and cooler than others. Some of them are kind of neat looking. But there's one good flag. The pirate flag just, you know, says it all. Like, if you're a pirate, you got the best flag. American flag is not so great. And it doesn't mean shit, right? Like, it's false patriotism. There's more important things, ideals like freedom of speech and shit that should be upheld. And, you know, the separation of church and state, all these other things.
Plan on investigating. We'll see. We'll be announcing. They're already under investigation. You know, they're already under major investigation.
Yeah, we're going after all these fucking people. We're politicizing, you know, we're not only is he going after free speech, but he's going after these people in a legal way, right?
A lot of the people that you would traditionally say are on the left.
They're
already under investigation.
They're all under investigation right now. I'm just letting you know, because Charlie Kirk thing just conveniently fell into my fucking lap. I wouldn't have told you that yesterday when, or, you know, 6 days ago when my letter to Jeffrey Epstein came out. But now, I'm telling you, I'm investigating all these motherfuckers.
Start revoking the visas of those who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death? Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't.
Yeah, you do. You celebrate all the time when the fucking liberal. But he's saying that the right doesn't celebrate when when Hillary Clinton if Hillary Clinton got assassinated, you wouldn't celebrate? Fuck you guys, right? Fuck you guys, you lying piece of shit. But she was saying you're going to revoke visas of people who are celebrating his death, who are here on visas. And so, which, may or may be legal, but like it's a part of this whole thing, right?
These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
They're really deranged. They're mentally ill. If you don't buy into this bullshit story about this bullshit motherfucker and his bullshit wife and his bullshit candidate and his bullshit party, you're mentally ill. If you don't get with this fucking moron here, if you're not a dumb fuck who follows an obvious grifter who's best buddies with Jeffrey Epstein, who's pushing martial law, he pushed out Operation Warp Speed, closed the economy down during the bullshit COVID thing, and all the other things that he's done, then you're scum and you're mentally ill. So again, this is what I was talking about. This video is titled "Investigators Work to Uncover Motive in Charlie Kirk Assassination." So this is MSNBC Morning Joe, but they also added CNN. So that's Monday, right? Now they're talking about this on Monday. They waited the whole weekend, and they're putting out things that were known 2 days ago. His transgender roommate, who also ratted him out, like, does he get credit for that to cooperate with the.
We have additional evidence, forensic evidence that has been processed. We'll be sharing that when charges are filed on Tuesday. So everything that we know confirms that that this is the person. The why behind
again, you're convicting the guy. He's not going to get a fair trial, and it happens with all these events that we're 100% sure this is the guy, right? When they could put out it's just, the whole thing I always talk about. They put out these packages, and so, of information. I mean, if this guy, let's say this guy's legitimate, and he's not in on it, the CIA can just put out enough information, enough evidence, and lead these motherfucking dopey investigators along to convict this guy. I mean, I would think the patsy has to be in on it. Who the fuck knows?
This again, we're all drawing lots of conclusions and how someone like this could be radicalized, and I think that those are important questions for us to ask.
How he could be radicalized, and again, this guy changed his tune to saying this guy's responsible for it, to now saying he could be radicalized. So that if you're posting things on the internet and somebody watches them and acts on it, somehow you're accountable, which is what they were saying about Alex Jones and Trump and all these other people, right? Blaming them for the actions of January 6th, or blaming, whatever it might be. And that people are, you can't say things. It's like yelling fire in a crowded theater. Because if you say some dumb fuck might go out and assassinate somebody because you said something on the internet, right? This is what they're pushing for. Like the total, where you're responsible if somebody does something because they heard something you said. This whole day that words matter. And, somebody would have to be kind of fucked in the head to assassinate somebody based in a bunch of liberal shit he heard, right? Like, or conservative shit. Like, you really have to be fucked in the head. And those kind of people don't execute something this way. I mean, a sniper that's trained by the military, they would, the odds of them being more effective are astronomical. Whenever you think about something being professional, right? Now, you could be an amateur person that gets really good at working on cars. You could even be somebody who's got, could be called a mechanic. But the average person doing work on their own car, you have some skill level, but you're an amateur. There's people who do this shit every day. They've been trained on it, they've been educated in it, and then they work at it every day. And so you get better at it, right? Like, you just get better at things, like what I do here. And some of this is research-based, some of it is using my meditation and connecting to the divinity within me to have, like, channeled information come through. But everything that I do here has gotten better over the years because I do it every fucking day, right? Whenever being a farmer, I'm much better at doing farm stuff because I've done it now for, I don't know how many years, like 20-something years, like, on and off. And so you just get better at things, right? As you practice things and you do them, you get better at them.
Important questions for us to answer.
That is the governor of Utah saying the public will learn a lot more tomorrow when formal criminal charges are filed against the man accused of murdering conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Will be
okay. So they got Monday. Today's already fucked because there's a Nicole Wallace interviewing a victim of Epstein, and that video's got no fucking views. It's a video that was put out before this video, but that's fucked, right? That's completely fucked. You know, any kind of thing that's not about this is fucked. For Monday, tomorrow the guy goes in and has to plea, you know, has to enter his plea, which he'll be, I assume, not guilty because he's not cooperating. He's not, you know, confessing. And you're not going to hear shit from this guy. You're not going to hear his side of the story or any of it. They don't have his description of a motive. They have a note he left. They have his transgender boyfriend. They have his Christian right-wing family. And they got whatever the stuff he posted. Apparently that shit that he posted on Discord. Discord says they don't have anything. At least that's what my wife told me. I don't even, you know, like all these things. So, you know, but they've gotten Monday. They're going to get Tuesday because tomorrow's a big day, and they're going to unleash all the information that they have that they've withheld over the weekend. And they'll unpack that on Wednesday and whatever else new development. So they have Wednesday. So right now, Trump is free to go on the attack. You know, they've had these vigils the other day. You know, I'll show you some of that. I have that. We'll go through that bullshit thing. And so they've effectively re-grabbed the narrative. You know what they're not talking about? Jeffrey Epstein. Or when they talk about it, no one's listening to it. Who gives a shit about Jeffrey Epstein? You know, I had a video that I posted about Jeffrey Epstein having, you know, the letter that Trump finally, they confirmed that Trump gave him that birthday card. And then some other shit that was in there. Big stuff, right? And my videos got a couple thousand views on that. Like fucking big bombshell news. And the same day that I started talking about Charlie Kirk. And I wasn't going to talk about because I didn't know anything about the guy. I was just going to mention it. I wasn't going to make 4 videos. Already I've made them. But this story has driven it in that direction. People are interested in Charlie Kirk's death far more than Epstein. They've given up on Epstein. You know, I used to cover, on my backup channel, my other channel, the Apocalypse Now channel, I covered Died Suddenly. And I called it Hollywood Celebrities Dropping Like Flies. And there were lots of right-wing people that came to that, was pretty happy about celebrities that push the vax dropping like flies. And I was documenting, you know, not just celebrities, but people, especially the ones that pushed the vax and then ended up getting turbo cancer or something else, right? And then people just lost interest in that. No one gives a shit about the vax. Nobody gives a shit about COVID anymore because people move on. People move on from 9/11. People move on from all these various stories, conspiratorial stories. But the Jeffrey Epstein thing had legs, and it was enduring, and now it was coming around to bite Trump in the ass. And then what happened? This thing. And this thing might go on for months. They're really pushing this thing. And they're changing, you know, this is a turning point where they're becoming, you know, this is like a catalyst to become more authoritarian and make this into more of a police state, a martial law type situation.
Bringing you the latest on the investigation this morning. We're also paying close attention to Washington, D.C., where President Trump's 30-day takeover of the district's police force has come to an end, but may not be over. We'll explain that.
Yeah, because that's not going to be over.
Also, a big development in the New York City mayor's race with
who gives a shit about these fucker guys? And there's all these people here. So they're looking for the motive here.
Most of our 4th hour, staff writer at The Atlantic, Jonathan Lemire.
Fuck these guys.
The hour manhunt is being held without bail at Utah County Jail. He was booked on suspicion of aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice. Utah prosecutors say they will file formal charges tomorrow when the alleged shooter is set to have his first appearance in court. At this hour, key questions remain about the suspect's motive for the fatal shooting. Investigators are sorting through all the evidence, including the bullet casings engraved with messages about fascism, video games, and internet memes. Utah Governor Spencer Cox told NBC News yesterday.
Spencer Cox.
The suspect is not cooperating with authorities, but his roommate, who Cox said was shocked by the shooting, has been helping investigators. The governor added that the suspect was in a romantic relationship with his roommate, who is transgender. A federal official tells NBC.
So they withheld that till today, right? So this was around as early as Friday, but now it's just coming out on MSNBC, who's cooperating with this story when they could be talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Like, none of those stories that they're talking about here are Jeffrey Epstein. There's, they have all this new documentation the Democrats unleashed, and they're fucked now. Jeffrey Epstein's story's fucked because of this bullshit Charlie Kirk thing. You don't see it. And so, they've captured it's already a week long. And then, how do you get the Jeffrey Epstein thing going in that direction when all the people who are starting to doubt Trump, all these people, these people like Charlie Kirk people, and they're all rallying around Charlie Kirk. And, I guess Candace Owens was crying because they were big buddies, and Tucker Carlson said this guy's a fucking saint, and he just loved everybody, and he was a fucking, all this bullshit. And all these people are starting to question Trump now they can't question Trump now that fucking Charlie Kirk has been killed. And so they fucking effectively killed the Epstein story. I mean, if it comes back, it's going to be a fucking miracle. And so Trump won this thing, as did his reality TV star wife.
News, there is not a solid understanding of whether there is any connection between that relationship and the shooting.
Of course there fucking is. Charlie Kirk criticized transgenders and was slamming transgenders and the gay community. And this dude's gay and he's in love with a transgender man. And so there's no connection there at all. Like, fucking Jesus Christ.
Governor went on to say the suspect had a leftist ideology, although he was not registered to any political party. Cox also described him as a once very normal, very smart young man who appeared to have been...
Okay, so we have the thing. So this is the thing, right? They've got Monday. They're definitely going to have Tuesday. And then Wednesday and whatever, like, going forward, there'll be more shit. This is the roll out the package of information. And so they got the guy. He's left-leaning, and he's gay, and he has a transgender boyfriend. And this is going to erupt in the right wing community. Let's go to that dopey fucking memorial thing. Okay, so I went shopping for dinner. I'm making meatballs. I have pretty much everything for that, but whatever. Neither here nor there. I'm a little bit, not just a little bit, not sharp today, a little bit in a daze. Probably need to take a nap. But I went outside, did some work, and one of my viewers had pointed out that Erica Kirk was in a reality TV show. And I would say she made kind of a cameo in a really bad reality TV show, which I'll show you in a moment, where she briefly flirted with and was going to be dating a gay dude on the show. I shit you not. It's kind of epic. So I'm going to show you that in a second. So this is from the New York Post.
Charlie Kirk, the MAGA conservative influencer and close ally of President Trump, who was shockingly assassinated in Utah on Wednesday, leaves behind his loving wife, Erica.
His loving wife, Erica.
And their 2 young children. Here's everything we know about Charlie Kirk.
The gay dude looks a little bit like him. We'll come back to this.
Widow. Erica Kirk, whose maiden name is Erica Francevy, married Charlie Kirk in 2021. The pair welcomed 2 children, a daughter, now 3, and a son, who is 1. The 36-year-old mother of 2 and former beauty queen identifies herself as a woman of deep faith.
A woman of deep faith she is.
She received her doctorate in biblical studies from Liberty University, hosts the podcast Midweek Rise Up, a devotional series
with Erica Kirk,
and created Proclaim, a faith-based clothing line.
She has her own clothing line. That's crazy.
Self-described multi-dimensional philanthropist and social entrepreneur, is also a model, ministry leader, and former NCAA women's basketball player at Regis University. In 2012, she was crowned Miss Arizona, USA.
She's Miss Arizona.
From New York City to China, Erica has worked in the entertainment industry as a model, actress, and casting director, all while remaining grounded in her Christian faith.
So they're really pitching her, right? New York Post wants you to, fill the vacuum, your Charlie Kirk vacuum, with her. Like she really wants to be a star. Like you can see when I show you the reality TV stuff, she really wants to be a star.
Website bio reads, above all, Erica cherishes her role as the wife of Charlie Kirk and the mother of her precious son and daughter.
Well, if her bio says something, it's got to be true. I mean, if it's in her bio, who am I to question somebody's bio?
Erica's Instagram page is filled with gushing posts about her late husband, including heartwarming videos of him with their 2 children.
My husband, Charlie Kirk, is a force.
He's a force.
He is a force.
He's a force of one.
He is bold when...
He's bold?
The world demands silence.
Silence. He's bold. The world's demanding... Are you saying the world demands silence? There's never been more fucking gabbing and talking and unnecessary blathering where everybody gets to verbalize their opinion, even if their opinions are ignorant and without any sort of substance. And so the world is not demanding silence.
He is fearless where others flinch, and he has taken on the battle of the next generation.
Boom.
Charlie Kirk was tragically shot dead while on stage conducting a Q&A session during his American Comeback Tour at Utah Valley University on Wednesday afternoon. He was rushed to a nearby hospital where he underwent emergency surgery but succumbed to his critical injuries. In a heartbreaking scene, Erica fought back tears as she...
So here's classic. She's holding up her cross and then putting her hand over her she's got sunglasses on, but putting her hand down here just so you know she's crying, that she's really grieving. That's why she did this photo op, and she's holding up a cross to her fans while she's putting her big man hand up here and crying into it.
Supporters from the backseat of an SUV while escorting her husband's body to a chapel in Arizona on Thursday evening. President Trump told reporters the same evening that he expects Kirk's funeral to be next weekend, adding...
Okay, so we'll see what happens here. I don't know if I can get to the memorial service today. But the most important piece, let's go to the reality TV show.
He left being like, I see your nipples and I like it. That doesn't make my vagina go like, ooh.
Okay, so all of you bachelors out there, take note of this, what this skank has just told you. That when a guy comes up to you and says, I see your nipples, when a guy comes up to a woman and says, I see your nipples and I like it, it doesn't make the girl's vagina go, woohoo! All right, so this is a show called Summer House. And it's about obnoxious, boring, uninteresting young people in their, I would say, mid-20s at Hamptons in New York, right? It is like a C-level reality TV show. So as bad as reality TV is, and these dating shows are, this one's particularly degraded. And ChatGPT took me for a fucking ride here. So I found out that she was on this show. And luckily I have a subscription to Peacock because it's one of the places where you can watch it. And so ChatGPT told me that Erica Kirk was on season 3, episode 1. And so I think this is season 1, episode 1, I'm not sure. But then I couldn't find her in it, and I had to scroll through it. And I think it was that episode. There was a scene where they had a girl going into a hot tub topless. They blurred her breasts. But, she's going into a hot tub topless. And they go to like a bedroom there. There's a couple underneath the covers and they're making sexual noises. I mean, really fucking cheesy shit. And I think the dude farted. I mean, I couldn't, like, it's unwatchable. Like, it's just really degraded. There's lots of scenes where there's sexual talk. In fact, mostly it's about sexual talk. Now, this girl was being hit on by some guy who didn't remember her name, and she was ragging on him, and he was really drunk, and whatever. And I thought this might have been her, but it wasn't. ChatGTP told me 3 different episodes or 4 different episodes where I could find this, Erica Kirk. And at one point said she wasn't in the show at all, right? So ChatGTP sucks right now. My wife had just said that they're making ChatGTP suck, and because they want everyone to go to the paid model, right? And, it's on my phone, so it's the easiest one for me to use. And so eventually I found the episode. So she's dating this guy who's obviously gay, or they're trying to hook her up. She's really making a cameo. She was like somebody who wanted to be on the show. So for those of you who don't know, there's a place in the beach by the ocean in New York called the Hamptons. And it's full of all these California, rich New Yorkers that have beach houses there, like New York money. Like Alec Baldwin has a big beach house there. Don Lemons. I mean, it's just these people that I cover. But there's all these famous celebrities and rich people and socialites that have houses there. It's pretty pretentious. I was there once when I was in my 20s, when I was in college. One of my friends' parents owned some place out there or something. And it was a nice house by the beach. Don't remember much about it. But a very pretentious, obnoxious New York town. And this is a really bad reality show that's cast in it. It's cast in a summer house.
Probably a virgin. So I'm setting Jordan up with my friend Erica. She's beautiful, and she happens to be religious.
Okay, so towards the end of episode 3, season 11, I don't know what it is. She makes her appearance. And the guy says that his friend Jordan is gay. Or I'm sorry, a virgin. And you can clearly see why. And so he wants Jordan, and Jordan claims to be a Christian, right? Which we'll get into in a moment here. And so they know this girl, Erica, who is going to be the future Erica Kirk. Okay, so she meets Jordan here. She hugs the guy. And sees that she's got a lot of jewelry on. She's big into, big jewelry, right? Even back then, big rings.
Maybe go, grab a drink somewhere quieter in here? Or? Yeah, perfect. Cool. Jordan, if you don't take this to the next level, God help you.
It's a really bad fucking show, right? It's really bad. I mean, so you're welcome for me fucking going through this thing. Those of you who are interested in this. It's just god-awful. I mean, these reality TV shows are bad, but there's some that are just worse than others, the production values and just all of it. Really degraded. Okay, so you can see it by his expression. There's some dudes that you can just tell they're gay by when you look at them. Like, their facial expressions, their bone features, right? You can tell this guy, there's just something about them. You're like, oh, that dude's gay. I mean, you can just tell. Before the person opens up their mouth, right?
Cheers, everyone. This is ridiculous.
Okay, so let's hear Jordan talk about Erica Kirk.
Okay, that's good. Beautiful blonde hair, her smile, her radiance. I can tell that she's got not only outward beauty, but inward beauty, and that's what I'm looking for in a woman.
That and a penis, right? So you look at this guy, I mean, just look at him and you hear him talk and you're like, well, okay, this guy's totally gay, right? I mean, you can kind of see that he's gay. And, she's coming on this show. Like, she knows that they're filming. So she wants on this show. Let's watch a little bit more of this.
So how do you two ladies know each other?
We were in Miss USA together.
Oh, cool.
So she was Arizona and I was Miss North Carolina.
So she said, I think South Carolina or North Carolina. She was Miss North Carolina. And the other girl, Erica was, as we already know, Miss Arizona.
Congrats.
She's a model and an actress and a poser. and an influencer and, all this stuff. She's somebody who wanted to be famous. Somebody who goes on these beauty contests and all these things and continues this path. She wanted to be famous, and this reality show was an opportunity for her, this degraded out reality show. It didn't take because the dude's gay.
I'll tell you something I have a confession to make.
What's going on?
You and I matched on Bumble like a year ago.
What?
Yeah, it never went anywhere. So I said, hey. And Jordan goes, hey, Sydney, glad we matched.
It was me being genuine.
I said, me too, smiley face. Did you do anything fun last night?
Ghost.
You didn't do anything?
Can I see this?
So her friend, who was either Miss South Carolina or North Carolina, met on Bumble, did she say? Is that a fucking thing? I don't know. And they exchanged messages, and she was interested in him, and he ghosted her. Didn't even write back. There's these gay dudes that hide behind religion because, they're struggling with whatever their sexual identity, and this guy is obviously one of them. And I think everybody probably kind of suspected. I can't imagine that people didn't, but there's people in the show, I'll show you a clip later on, where he talks about how he can't get aroused when he was with a woman, because he's gay. And we'll get to that in a moment. And so Erica Kirk clearly knows what's going on here. She knows that she's going to be on TV, knows it's a reality TV show. They're going out to some bar, she's drinking. I mean, she's claiming to be a Christian, but, she is really fucking ambitious. I don't blame somebody. Well, let's show the rest of this thing here.
It says delivered. You're an asshole.
So the guy says it was delivered, which means she received the message, and he didn't respond. So he's calling him an asshole, but we know what's going on. He's gay, right? He didn't respond because he's not attracted to women, no matter what beauty contest they've won.
I think I was going through a phase of my life where I was like, want to meet somebody in real life. I want to meet somebody with the same beliefs. I'm like a really big Christian.
I'm a really big Christian. I'm just a really big Christian.
I'm like...
So you wouldn't meet him at church or anything?
It's tough because, I watch it online.
I don't think I've ever met anybody that's like, hey, I'm going to go to church on Sunday.
I go to 2 different churches.
Wait, she goes to 2 different churches? Holy shit, I'm going to take back everything I said about her. She's not performative and fake and, insincere and all these things, right? Inauthentic. She goes to 2 churches, 2 different churches. She goes to churches, so many churches she can't even count. That guy's never met anybody who went to church before. She goes to 2 different ones.
It's tough to be a believer in the city.
Yeah.
I think you're a bright light in a very dark place.
She says he's a very bright light in a dark place. She doesn't suspect that he's gay. Now, he looks a little bit like her eventual husband, who maybe was a little bit effeminate himself, right? A little on the gay side. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say he was gay. Like, you wouldn't think that way the way you think about this guy, but they look a little bit similar. But, she's not, she wants to be on the show, right? So her saying that, I mean, this has to do with her wanting to be on the show.
So let's go grab a mojito? We'll go grab a drink.
Oh, fine.
Okay, she laughs a lot. So she walks off with this gay dude who's a really bright light.
It's genuinely refreshing to have a conversation with somebody that has the same beliefs. You coming in here just owning it. I'm really attracted to it. Can I get your number?
Yeah.
How do you text with those nails on?
They're real.
Those nails are real, right? They're nails who got a lot of scrutiny on when she was, did those posing. But you see what kind of person she is, right? Now, so I don't begrudge her in their 20s. Like, I did stupid shit when I was, cocaine. I did fucking freebase cocaine when I was, in my 20s. We all do stupid shit, right? When we're young. I don't know how old she is here. So I don't begrudge, we're all dumb fucks and we all do stupid shit. And so being on a reality TV show, a really bad one, even though it conflicts with her persona now and her Christian beliefs, she's in a bar giving her number out to gay dudes. It's the ambition that she has, right? And it's her need to be in the public eye. And she's going to take over Charlie Kirk's show ministry and whatever it is and her political shit. She's very, political. She's very upward moving, really ambitious, and really fake.
I bet you give like a mean back scratch.
He says, I bet you give a really mean back scratch, and she giggles. Very performative, very flirty, just fake. And then she disappears from the show. But he does talk about her here, which is kind of hilarious.
This girl, Erica, checks all of my boxes.
She checks all his boxes, especially her penis.
She's beautiful. She's Miss Arizona. She loves God.
Would you bring her home to mom?
Oh, 100%.
Do you want to?
And the answer is no, because he's gay. So they cut to commercial, and they come back. They do this dramatic pause. Because, the answer would probably most likely be yes, but not for fucking Jordan.
I've been holding something back.
Okay, so I'm putting this dude in the thumbnail because he's gay looking with her. And I'm trying to get the pictures. I usually take a photo here and there when I'm making the video to make a thumbnail. And I'm trying to find the one that makes him look most gay. And they're like, oh, there's so many.
I don't know. It's like I can't get it up.
Yeah, because you're fucking gay. I mean, it was obvious when I first heard him talk. I think it was probably obvious to most of you. I mean, he's really effeminate, and he looks like a gay dude. He talks like a gay dude. And, he can't get it up for women because he's not attracted to women because he's gay.
I'm literally surrounded by beautiful women every single day, and I'm like, hello, what's going on? It's just really embarrassing.
The great moment where he looks down at his penis. It's like, hello, what's going on down there? I don't understand. There's beautiful women up here. What's going on down there, gay dude?
But you still jerk off, right? Can you get it up to jerk off?
Yeah.
So she asks him if he can get it up when he jerks off, and he said, yeah. And he leaves out the part where he says when he thinks about men or interacts with men or is in bed with another man.
Well, that's why I'm just making out with girls and not bringing them home, because it's like...
I don't think Jordan has erectile dysfunction, but I do think it's a cry for help in that he's confused about his sexuality in some way.
All you need is a girl to start with a handy and then go to a blowy.
So the one girl can see it. She knows he's gay. This other girl can't because she's dumb as fuck, and she's blaming it on the girls that they're not going to a handy to a blowy because he needs some help. The guy needs some fucking help, right?
And then see what goes on from there.
He's such an amazing person at his core, but he's running away from something that's giving him a lot of inner turmoil.
Yeah, it's clearly gay, right? So this is pretty fucked. So this is a girl in the show, I think, who was saying, look at Jordan. Who said he was, here. The internet, if you search this guy Jordan from Summer House, he is gay, comes up as one of the choices, right? And I never searched before for that. I mean, you type in Jordan from Summer House, and one of the recommended searches is he gay or this thing, because it's pretty obvious.
Okay, now talk to me about Jordan. Is Jordan gay?
What does your gaydar say?
I mean, he's... Yeah. I think Jordan's gay.
I feel like I was having trouble even getting to the sexuality part because I couldn't get past, the pathological lying.
Yeah.
All right, so anyways, I guess his parents are religious, there's some things about it, right? Let's move over to the voiceover here. Okay, so this is the picture I went with. So those of you listening to this on the Journey series, the Erica Kirk was on a reality TV show where she briefly made sort of a cameo there before she was famous. She wanted to get on that show. And there was a gay dude that she ended up dating. And this is the image I, went with. There's all these images of him looking very gay. But you see he has a very kind of almost similar face to Charlie Kirk. He has a different expression here. But they're not dissimilar. They could be related in some way. You know, the problem with this is, and again, like I said in the video, I'm not, you know, begrudging some 20-year-old kid getting on reality TV, because there's lots of people that want to do it. And her wanting to be famous, she's a model and an actress and former Miss Arizona, you know, beauty pageant girl, that kind of girl that Trump likes, all that stuff. And so I don't begrudge her doing any of those things, right? But she's so inauthentic and so, like, I mean, she's so ambitious in her speeches and everything that she's doing now, and so performative and trying to show grief in ways that, you know, like you would do it in posing on Instagram photos and Facebook shit and social media. It's so insincere and so inauthentic. And I wanted to say this. I have maybe one more clip to get to. I might just hold that for tomorrow. It's another person who's been fired. I'll show you that clip before we end. You know, I end this video here. But, you know, when you are a devotee of God, it's something that happens internal to you. No matter how much you talk about it, like, people can see it in you. You know, a sincere person who has a relationship with God. You know, people can see it in your face. Your face relaxes. You know, people find it nice to look at you because you radiate godly energy. You know, even people sometimes who don't have a, you know, they don't call the relationship with God. You know, they feel love in their hearts. They feel God's love, and they have a relationship with that feeling, but they don't think of it as like in terms of religious terminology. But they are definitely spiritual people, and they have spiritual beings. You know, there's higher developed spiritual beings that connect with people, and if you're willing to do God's work and you play a significant role, they surround you, and people can feel it and pick up on it. You know, you can feel and experience these things, but it can't be proven by science. It can't be something that, if you can't see it, you won't be able to see it, and no one can help you see it, right? But then there are people who talk about how religious they are. They talk about, you know, it's very performative. You know, preachers and people like this, and you look at them, you're like, they're not people that have internalized their relationship with God. You know, some people have a mental relationship with the Bible or some other scripture. You know, they have a mental relationship, but if they don't have a heart-based relationship, then it's not real. You know, when you win somebody's heart, when somebody, you know, feels for you on a heart level. This is why people get so angry when somebody when somebody wins their heart and then betrays them, right? You know, you win somebody's heart over, especially on a spiritual level, then it's so much better than winning over somebody mentally, like through your arguments and through your ability to articulate things and your ideas, right? You can get people who are mentally impressed by you and who mentally are committed to working with you and you know, on a mental level. And then there's the gut level, like primal stuff, where people have relationships based on hate, mutual hatred of something or somebody else, mutual anger and fear of somebody or something else. But when you win somebody's heart, you know, that's why when they go for these movements, they always go after the women. Because when they get the women, they're going to get the children, especially, you know, in the past. I mean, it's a little bit less so now with kids being raised by the internet. And the women can win over their husbands because their husbands are just fucking dopey and don't give a shit about anything. And so, you know, the husband loves the wife, or needs the wife, and the wife can get their husband, you know, over to some movement. So they always, on these psychological movements, when they want to motivate people, they always appeal to the women. That's why oftentimes they're very emotional appeals. And they want to, you know, they can do it through fear, they can do it through anger, but when they can get you to love something or somebody, and, you know, they're working on this, trying to make Charlie Kirk into a martyr, then they really got you, right? And, you know, it's a good movement. There is, you know, winning somebody's heart is, you know, it's a good thing because you're going to deliver for them, right? But ultimately, when someone has a heart-based relationship with God, they feel God's love, and you can see it when they, you know, it radiates out of them to whatever level, you know, more so, depending on how far along they are on their spiritual journey, their capacity. You know, some people are 20% committed to God. Some people are 10% committed to God. Most people are 0% committed to God in a real way. They might be into their religion, but they're into the social aspect. They're into the, the teachings. There's lots of people who use religion as a weapon, use the Bible as a weapon, or whatever religion they happen to be into. But there are people who are spiritual, and those people, it's internalized, and it's something that you do where through meditation. Like, everyone meditates, and nobody understands this. Meditation's like sleep. It's a state your mind gets into, and also your heart. You get into this reflective mood. And if you meditate on God in the right way, you connect with God. And so people meditate on all kinds of things. Their girlfriends, their boyfriends, their family, their sports team. They get into a meditative state and they ruminate over something. And when they love something, it pulls them towards it, right? Love creates a vacuum. Going back to this, this idea of winning somebody's heart. And the second master of the Sajmark system was, a very simple guy. And he smoked a hookah, one of those big water pipes. And it's packed with jaggery, which is like raw sugar. It's raw sugar. It's a hard rock sugar. It had charcoal in it and tobacco. And he didn't eat a lot, and he had no other, of course he didn't drink alcohol or anything else. He started smoking the hookah because he had toothache or something. This is ancient India. Like he was born in the 1920s, and so, or early 1900s. And he used to smoke this hookah with like great delight, and people would sit around him, and there's a whole thing with it. But one time he was, there was a religious scholar named K.C. Varadachari. He was some guy who worked at an Indian university, very famous Brahmin, who knew a lot about religious teachings, not just Hinduism, but specifically Hinduism, more so Hinduism, but all these other religions. And he was like kind of this brilliant religious scholar. And he tried the meditation, and he kind of liked it, and he invited Babaji to his house. So Babaji came from North India, where it's, he was a lesser caste. The Brahmins in South India are, can often be very arrogant, and they're kind of elitist in the spiritual field. They're often spiritual people, doctors and teachers, and sometimes politicians and things. Scholarly people. And Babaji was from a much lower caste. It was, that was known for warriors and things from northern India. And so Babaji came down, and he had this guy who traveled with him. It's kind of like a big burly guy, kind of almost like a bodyguard. And they both smoked. And Babaji had to go out and smoke cigarettes because he couldn't set up his hookah. And he was, he's tobacco, so he's smoking outside the guy's house because the guy won't let him smoke in his house, right? And then, one day he comes out to the other guy and says, he called this guy the professor or the doctor or something. He said, we've won the doctor's heart. We can now smoke inside, right? So, there's this, transformational moment where the guy was like, holy shit, this guy's like a real fucking spiritual master. And I'm making him go outside to smoke, right? And so he had rules. He didn't like, he was elitist, and, he didn't want any shitty cigarette smoke and tobacco smoke in his nice house or whatever. He was an academic, but at some point he was like, oh my God, this guy can do whatever he wants. He's, this guy's, amazing. But, this idea of winning somebody's heart. And like I was saying, the heart is where you connect to God. And, Jesus meditated the 40 days on the Mount, and he meditated regularly. And they don't include that in the Bible and the stories about him because they don't want you meditating, right? You can't control people who are going to connect to God directly. But he had a method in which he connected to God, which has been excluded from the Bible. And that's why Christianity is a very materialistic religion, because it's very performative, it's very community-oriented, it's a lot about social reform and feeding the poor and doing good deeds. But it's not so much about, they don't tell you how to connect to God. In fact, they frown on that, and they keep you from doing that, right? And so what you get is, in the Christian religion, you have a lot of people who are pretending to be Christians or pretending to be godly people, but they're very materialistic in their orientation. And this girl, Erica Kirk, is very materialistic. I mean, she has gaudy jewelry, and she wants fame and ambition and things, which is okay. But when you do it in the guise of that you're doing God's work and you're just, you're lying, and you convince people who are, wanting to connect to God that this is, you're all about that when you're not, it's fucked up, right? And that's why I always come down harder on these types of people. When people try to use some, performative connection to God that is not internalized, that's not in their hearts, to move people in a political direction and against those people's better self-interest, right? Anybody who uses God to motivate people to do shit that's bad for them and bad for that goes against God's will, that's true devil worship, right? That's embracing the ego, the devil within, and using God as a way to extract services and money and, whatever power from people that are looking at you who, you may have won their hearts and they believe in you, or her husband has, or whatever. So this is a, kind of fucked up thing, a more fucked up thing than normally I cover here. Let me go back to that. I got one more clip to show you here. And I want to say this. I have to add this. So for those of you watching this on the Journey series, this Erica, whatever her name is Erica Kirk. She was in the She was in Hamptons in New York. And for people who are not really aware of what the Hamptons are, which I said earlier, it's really elitist. It's like Beverly Hills. There's places in New York where all the rich people live. Like there's, just like in California, Malibu, these places you hear about. In every city, there's the places where the really rich people live. And around Washington, D.C., in Virginia and Potomac and, Maryland. And there's these places where the really wealthy people live. And there's the places where the really wealthy people go to vacation, places in Cape Cod and some of these other places in Massachusetts. There's a lot of money, right? Old money. And, Trump was always a guy who wanted to, he was always a clout chaser and a celebrity wannabe, and he wanted to be seen by people, and he was always hobnobbing with people who, would elevate his status. And he was seen with the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein, these people, as part of that, ambition to be around these people. And these people are the people that do bad shit because they get fucking crazy, because, they get into these deviant behaviors because they have too much pleasure, not enough real life issues that, normal people stuff that keeps them from going over the edge and getting involved in really creepy shit like Jeffrey Epstein and these other people. And that's why people dislike the elite. And this woman, Erica Kirk, is certainly a fame chaser and a clout chaser and someone who wants to be around these types of things and these type of people, right? That's why she was making sure she got pictures with Usha and her husband, J.D. Vance, the Vances and Trump, and, including them in her speech. She wants to let it known that the vice president, the president, and these people loved her husband and this whole thing. And when you have that kind of personality and you like fame and you want to be seen and you want glory and you want, wealth and power and you're really ambitious, it's not a good thing if you are a spiritual person. Because you can be a spiritual person that wants to connect to God. But if you have those things inside of you, ambition, and these things where you like power, you're an ambitious person, you like fame, you like money, you're all these types of things. Any of these things that you have, if you're a lustful person, any of these, these character flaws, even if it's a small thing, even if you're just slightly ambitious, and you're slightly insecure, and you have some narcissistic wounding, there's a little bit of narcissism in you, something like that. I mean, I'm not talking about these people who are just out and out fucking, fame whores and, narcissistic people. I mean, Trump and these people. But then when you get power, and certainly godly power, which is the one that magnifies it the most, but when you get, celebrity power and wealth power, I mean, you see what happens to them when they become the boss. Like when your friends become the boss and they have that power, they get the power of the boss, or they get money or they get fame, and you see what it does to people, right? Tucker Carlson was trying to claim that Charlie Kirk was unaffected by the level of success he was having. And that's clearly not the case. And his wife certainly was affected, right? Because when you have those qualities inside of you and then you get power, the power makes those qualities, even more, even stronger. And they end up being your downfall. Every tragedy, every Greek tragedy, every tragedy story, tragic story of the rise and fall of people, rags to riches to rags, those kind of stories. It comes with having these character flaws that, when given the proper amount of power, they become exploited, right? And so, especially when you're a saintly person, a godly person, and you start to move forward on your spiritual path, the cleaning aspect in the Sajmarg meditation that I do is really important. And even with that, there's lots of people who I've seen lose it because of the spiritual power. They get overwhelmed, and they're, even with the cleaning and even with, the attention of the consciousness and the system, the master of the system and the higher developed beings overseeing it, it'll get the better of people. And certainly the Kirks are like prime examples of that. Anyways, let's move on to this last video clip here. So speaking of power run amok,
filing a lawsuit after she was suspended from her job after calling out a doctor who allegedly said Charlie Kirk deserved to die. The hospital saying, quote, both the doctor and the nurse were placed on suspension to allow time for a thorough and fair investigation following our standard protocol. And in the interest of everyone's safety, including their own, contrary to certain media reports, the nurse was not fired. That nurse, Lexi Kuntzel, along with her attorney, John
That's Lexi Kuntzel.
Paul Deal, joins us now. Lexi, thanks so much. I'll get you in a second, John. But Lexi, are you fired?
No, I'm not fired as of right now. Right now, I am suspended, indefinitely unpaid.
Why?
So I walked into the nurse's station, and I just had learned about Charlie Kirk. I saw this guy. I didn't know who he was at the time, and he was standing there celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, saying how he deserved it, he hated Charlie Kirk, and he had it coming to him. And
so you love Charlie Kirk. You didn't just want to wear of him.
I loved,
yeah,
I'm a big fan of Charlie Kirk. My first retweet in 2018 it was like my first blue checkmark retweet was Charlie Kirk.
No way. You retweeted Charlie Kirk?
I was a couple years out of college and loved him ever since.
Loved him ever since that retweet.
Gassed at this, and what'd you say?
So I looked down at his badge because I didn't know, what job, if he was a doctor or a nurse, a
never
tech,
saw him before.
Never saw him before. I looked down, I see his badge, and it says doctor. And I said, you're a doctor? I said, how are you saying this as a doctor, that someone deserved to die? I mean, to me, I was just...
Yeah, because doctors are just so great. Like your level of discernment in terms of your connection to Charlie Kirk. Also, you've never seen doctors like completely be arrogant and pieces of shit, right?
Mind blown. And
it was mind blowing.
Yeah,
and everything went silent. You go to your manager. Your manager was understanding, but told you to go home.
Yes.
Then you posted something online, and then you find out you're suspended. I want to bring in your lawyer now. And John, could you tell?
All right. So this is where this is going, right? Trump talked about all these witch hunts, and this is just, things are going south. Like there's a civil war going on, and it's the right wing is just out of hand, and the left wing was so bad when Biden was running it. Like they had just lost their shit. The left wing was clearly worse than the right wing. And now the right wing is just going over the top with their, this is how things escalate. Anyways, I just got to wrap this one up here. There'll be more tomorrow, I'm sure. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse. And the ascension, everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.